My mom recently told me that she is retiring in December, and I'm so happy for her. But when she first told me, after I congratulated her, the first thought that came to my mind was, will this ever happen for us? And not from a place of fear or a place of anxiety or a place of panic, and not even from a place of hope or optimism, but from a pure place of curiosity. Because when I look at her life and I look at mine, that's the thought that came. Will this be available to us? And that's what I want to talk about in today's video. If you're new here, I'm Erica Prevail, and I talk about lifestyle redesign, modern work culture, how I cured myself from corporate brain rot after career burnout. I also talk about wellness, and I talk about creativity. Now, before we get into this video, I have a disclaimer, something my lawyer wants me to read. This video is not about finances, saving money, investment strategies, or fear. It's not even about hope or optimism either. Just pure curiosity. Questions without answers, reflections without resolution. That is the entire purpose of this conversation. So if you saw the title and came over here to tussle in the comments, this is not that kind of video. Okay, now let's get into it. So like I said, I went to visit my parents a few weeks ago, like I always do. And, me and my mom always get to talking. Me and my dad, we really get to talking. We talk about a lot of like cultural things, world events. But while I was talking to my mom, like I knew she was getting close because she was already having conversations about retiring. And she was just trying to like, I guess, figure out exactly like when, like the month, the year. She was going between like, maybe I'll work for another year, maybe I won't. But she told me, a few weeks ago that she's going to be retiring in December. And I'm like, yeah, you finally made the decision. So she'll be able to go into 2027, a new year, doing what she desires. Now, my dad, he's been retired for several years now, just doing his thing. My dad is a busybody. He don't sit down nowhere. So now they both get to be retired together. My tea of the day is the strawberry rosé tea. I have a little bit left. Oh, it's just so good. It's just so good. But yeah, like I was saying, so now both my parents will be retired, and just to be able to, I don't know, frolic, live their lives the way that they want to live their lives. But again, when my mom told me this, I just automatically thought about, will this be available to me? Will this be available to my brothers who are younger? Will this be available to women and men in our age group? I'm in my early 40s. Like, will this be available to us? Like, and again, not from a place of fear or anxiety or hope or even optimism. It really is like from just a place of like curiosity. And what brought me to this thought as well, as I was like, you know what, I'm going to talk about this in a video, is that, like I said, looking at my mom's life and knowing what she experienced throughout her career, she also experienced burnout in her career. And I don't know, we can't predict the future, but I did not know she had experienced burnout until I was writing my book well over 2 years ago. My book titled Release and Renew, Transform Burnout into Purpose and Unlock the Joy and Ease. It's part memoir, part guide about my burnout journey, how I got there, me in the burnout, and how I got out. And I say part memoir, part guide, because yes, I'm telling my story, but I also weave in so many moments to help other women. And there's journal prompts at the end of each chapter. But to help the reader dive deeper and just reflect more over their own lives. But while I was while I was writing the book, I had I interviewed my mom, I interviewed my aunt, because when I was writing my book, I took the approach of I just brain dumped all of my experiences, not having anything in a nice, pretty bubble. I just wrote. Well, I just typed for months. I typed, just again, pouring out all of my experiences, how I believe I got there, really recounting certain things from my childhood, from my high school years, just really getting all of those memories stirred. And while I was going through this, I just had the idea to talk to my mom about it, and come to find out she had experienced burnout. And again, my aunt did too. And they didn't have that language back then, but again, me just going back down memory lane, I remember very vividly my mother pivoting in her career. She started in healthcare. Again, one of the reasons I kind of went down that path. She started in healthcare. And again, I can't remember right now what age she might have been, but it probably was her late 30s. It probably were, wow. Probably her late 30s, where she pivoted into education, and it was due to burnout. And just putting those pieces together, I just had a lot of questions, just again, from a place of curiosity, and how they didn't have the language for it back then, how they probably pushed through. They probably were yes. I'm just having some more reflections as I sit here and have this conversation with you. But just having those conversations with my mom and my aunt, knowing that they both went through burnout, both pivoted in their careers. And here I am writing a book about burnout in the same predicament. And that's why we have to have these conversations. And I know burnout is definitely a broad, widely spoken about topic today in 2026, but it's still something that needs to have conversations around it, because everybody's experience does not look the same. But now, looking at her, not only beyond the stage of burnout, but at the end of her career, getting ready to retire, get out of the corporate structure. I don't know. It really made me have some thoughts. And I'm sitting here, in my early 40s, will I ever get that opportunity, And again, I'm not here to talk about the financial part. That's really not what this video is about. I'm having these questions from a place of genuine curiosity, because traditionally here in the US, you retire at 65. I guess that's the age, which means for me, I still have another over 20 years to work. I mean, if we're taking this traditional thing, again, roll with me here. Roll with me. We're having a curiosity conversation. So if our age to retire is 65 and I have another 25 years, I'm not going to say 25 years, another 20 something years to work, what does that mean for the life that we are living today? And that's really why I wanted to have this conversation. What does it mean for the life that we are actually living here today? The version of retirement that my parents currently have, will that version be available to us? Things are getting more expensive. The cost of living is going up. Again, I really don't want to get into the financial part, and I'm definitely not pretending to have the answer. But again, I just feel like things will just look different. for us when we get to whatever age we desire, if that's 50, 55, 60, 65, whatever, the age is that you desire to retire, like, what will that look like? What would that look like for you? What would that look like for me? And I think the bigger question underneath that, like I said, isn't really about the retirement itself, but to really think about, how are you living today? Are you waiting for the right season to live your life, to do things you want to do, to travel, to explore, to experiment? Are you waiting for the right amount of money? Are you waiting for the right moment to finally do something for yourself? Like, what are you waiting for, and why are you waiting versus living the life that you want to live today? It's just something that, again, I feel like society leads us to believe, that you have to wait till a certain time to do this, a certain time to do this. And then on the other side, you have to have this done by this time, or have this done by that time, and just all of these timelines. But how are you living your life today? What do I have in my notes? Oh, so yeah, like I'm like, I can't even read my own notes, girl. So I'm in a space of, I'm navigating a 9 to 5 still. I'm building a business that makes money, but it's not enough for me to go full time yet. And I'm very curious. My mom telling me that she was going to retire in December. For days, I just thought about it. Like, what will that look like for me? What would that look like for me? And then on the other side of that, the same question I'm asking you is, how much more? Because I feel like I'm doing a lot of things right now to fully live. That was a part of my whole lifestyle redesign that I've been in for 4 years now, and I continue to redesign my life. After I left my corporate 6-figure job due to burnout, took nearly a year sabbatical to heal, get clear. I'm back in corporate America, eyes wide open, because we see each other, building a business and living my life. Listen, I do the things that I desire. Of course, everything is not perfect. Perfect for me isn't even the goal. I want to live in my life daily. I have not taken a vacation in a few years because I'm building a business. So I feel like I put all my additional resources into my business, but I live my life right around here. I live in Florida. I live where people vacation. So I be outside. I be living my life. And I want you to ask yourself that, like, how are you living your life today? What are you waiting for? Really ask yourself that, and then ask why. And then go another level deeper and ask why, and another level deeper and ask why. So the question becomes less about retirement and more about, what are you doing today that actually feels like you are living your life? I feel like I have a really full life. Being an ambitious woman, of course, I feel like there's always things that I desire to have, but I feel like I'm in a pretty much level of, like, in my life I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good. Again, my business could fully, I would love for my business to fully sustain me so I could fully step out of my 9 to 5. But just in regards to the small things in life, like, I get up in the morning and I get to go walk on the beach and drink my tea and journal. I live in a very safe and cozy home that I'm grateful for. I have a close-knit group of friends. I have 2 healthy living parents. I have 2 brothers that are doing well in life. I feel like I am living life, but it's always about continuing to check in with yourself. I'm gonna always tell you that, checking in with yourself and seeing if the way you're living your life still works for you. If it doesn't, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting to do? What's going on, girl? Just continue to ask yourself these questions about your life, your career. Is this working? Do I want more? How do I want pivot? Do I want less? Huh? Do I want less? That's a question too. Do I want less responsibility? Do I want to downsize in my home? What do you desire in your life right now versus waiting until retirement to live, waiting till retirement to travel, waiting till retirement to explore life and do the things that you desire? And I feel like the cheat code really isn't the dream of like retirement in a traditional sense, but the dream is always like doing work that lights you up, doing work that fulfills you, doing work that feels like it's not work, and at the very least, not drain you to death. While of course still being able to provide for yourself financially and sustain yourself, I feel like that is my mindset right now. And even though that might take time to build there, because life is all about the journey, life is all about exploration, even maybe taking a path, deciding that that's not the path that you desire, and being able to pivot and go on another path, or maybe even pivot again, but just being open to the journey, being open to the exploration, and just being intentional about the things that you are doing, in the ways that you are moving, and making sure that they are in alignment for you. Because we're living in a world now where so many people, and again, I fell into this trap early on, which is why it led me to my burnout, but people are just following these roadmaps, these plans, these strategies for life, and not questioning anything like, is this even what I want? Is this even what I want to do? But this is what society has told us is the way to go. Go get the career, get the husband, have a family, which is very limited, versus living a full life, having deep friendships, having interests, having things that you like to do just for you, volunteering. During my sabbatical, I want to do it again, but with me building a business and working a 9-to-5 and taking care of myself, because that's what we're going to always do. I enjoyed volunteering so much. I used to volunteer with Meals on Wheels and just driving the meals to the families' homes. And most of them were elderly people, and just being able to have conversations with them while you're just dropping it off. Because most of them, they just wanted somebody to talk to and have, a conversation, companionship. And it was just one of the most rewarding times of my life doing it for those like 8-9 months. But like doing things for yourself to give you a full life, instead of waiting until the end, of your career, or waiting until you retire. And just thinking about how are you living your life today, not when things slow down, or when your business takes off, or when you get a new job or make a little bit more money, but today, on an ordinary Tuesday, what does living look like for you right now? If you haven't thought about that lately, maybe if you're a journaling girl, journal on that today. Or if you're not a girl who journals, just sit with that today. How does living actually look like for you right now? And if you don't like the answer that you've come up with, start making little shifts to do something about it. Again, it's not about flipping your life upside down all overnight, or finding some perfect plan, or following somebody else's game plan. You guys know all the things I like to do. the things I like to dabble in. Those might not be your things, but just getting curious and finding out what you like, what you want to do. Now is the time. Now is the time. Not when you retire. Now is the time. This is a question that is just worth sitting with. Are you living or are you just waiting? Are you living or are you just waiting? Because the finish line, retirement, the end of our careers might look different from our parents. Again, that's where this conversation came from today. My mom telling me she was retiring. So our end of careers might look different from our parents. I'm sure it will look different from our parents. And that's okay. That's okay too. But we can't postpone our lives until we get there. Yeah. So again, this video wasn't about like having all of these answers to questions. That wasn't the goal. It's just my reflections around my mom telling me she was going to retire. Now me and my brothers got to get together and see what we're going to do for her retirement, or maybe even what she wants to do for her retirement. My mom is a very easygoing person who does not require a lot or does not ask for a lot. So that's what it makes me want to do something for her even more. So yeah, that's the conversation, just the question, a moment to reflect. How are you actually living your life for today instead of just waiting? Yeah. So if something came up for you around that question about how are you living your life today, or are you just waiting, let me know down in the comments. Give this video a like. I would genuinely want to know. I always respond to all the comments unless it's some foolishness. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.